back to Deadly Dames, and this is part 2 of our top 100 horror movies. There might be a few parts to this because as we go on, as you can see, we like to talk about the films. So we ended on movies that we thought were disturbing, not necessarily the most disturbing movies in the world, but ones to us that we put in our top 100 but they're disturbing. So next film up was Serbian Film. I personally thought this was an excellent made movie. It's basically about a guy who's in the porn industry. He's pulled back into it, and a lot of horrible stuff happens. But some of the stuff that happens in this, you will not forget. It will stay with you for the rest of your life. And the worst thing about it is, like, I can appreciate a really well made movie, and this movie is like this. But it's really hard to say that you like a movie about this subject matter. But I did generally like the film. But it did give me nightmares. There's one line in this movie that will get stuck in your head because you'll picture what was happening when this line happens, and you'll know what it is if you've seen it. But yeah, that's the reason why Serbian Film's on there. And then last on this list is The Hills of Eyes. This is a movie that I remember from childhood because my mum was scared of this film. Remember, mum used to say, "Oh, I'm scared of this film about cannibals that come out of the hills and eat people." I think the worst thing about this is that it is a family. And one by one they're picked off. Yeah. But the disturbing scene in this for me is when the daddy gets barbecued. Grandpa gets barbecued. Sorry, my feet are going numb. And all the family run outside because they could hear the dad screaming to go and help him, leaving the younger sister in the cabin. And when the younger sister and the baby are left in the cabin, two of them go into the cabin and attack her, do bad things to her, and steal the kid. And that scene always cringes me out. Even in the remake was really good as well, and I think if we'd done like a top 200 movies, the remake would have been somewhere in here. But this is the original one still to this day, because that even the actors that they picked kind of just looked like that. Obviously there was a bit of makeup, but they didn't feel the need to. What? I'm just giggling at you for actors. You're like, they didn't need no makeup, they just walked in. They just walked in, like, that's how they got the job. So the next list that we did our top 10, and again, all these movies that are in here would have been on our top 100 anyway. All we've done is just try and categorise them. So the next list is our top 10 transformations in horror films, so like body morphing, transformations, just like bloody painful. So up the top we have, I hope that wasn't a fart.
That was my phone.
We started with American Werewolf in London, probably the best transformation ever in a horror film. To this day, I don't think it's ever been topped, because it looks painful as hell, him changing into a wolf. And then we went for The Fly because it's like a slow transformation. It doesn't happen as quickly as American Werewolf in London. It gradually happens.
And remember when we watched it for the first time on Blu-ray recently, we noticed that it was his penis that was in a jar in his medicine
I've never seen that before.
I never noticed that before. Maybe because I was a kid when I first saw it and I didn't think, oh, that looks like a penis. You know.
He's a pickled penis.
But I never noticed that before.
No, and I think that is the worst thing about The Flies. It slowly happens. He slowly rots away and turns into a fly.
But he thinks it's great though. He thinks that he feels amazing, and obviously up to that point, he, you know, by the end he's like Ripley in Resurrection, kill me.
And then we went for ginger snaps because, like, again, maybe it's just because we're women, we can relate to becoming women. The period is awful, right? And that's kind of what this movie's a metaphor for, is like a girl coming into womanhood, and only in this one she goes into womanhood a wee bit too far and becomes a wolf. You know, everybody has a bad period like that. Too far. But yeah, the transformation in this is good because she becomes a wolf, she can't go back.
I was thinking that maybe like some advert or tampon advert should really have taken on ginger snaps and like little trailers beforehand.
Bad period, use Tampax. But yeah, she becomes a wolf, and it slowly happens, and at first like she feels great, she feels powerful, and then slowly but surely she becomes this wolf, and it's a great transformation. Again, it's a slower transformation, but it is good. Demons, because, well, let's face it, there's big spots and pus that pop out them, their teeth fall out, their nails expand, and it's the teeth coming out that gross me out. But Demons is an excellent movie. If you've never seen it, I definitely recommend getting it, but prepare yourself for some gross transformations. The Helen. I love the scene in the Helen when everybody starts transforming, but the reason why we put it on here is mainly for the porn scene. I should probably rephrase that. The scene where she meets him in the porn room. That's getting worse, isn't it?
Is that a porn theatre?
Yeah, it's like a peekaboo booth.
Mm-hmm.
He's in.
Oh, like a peep show.
And she's meeting him. She's a journalist, and she's meeting this serial killer there. And see when he transforms.
Why did you meet a serial killer at a peep show?
Because that's where he agreed to meet her.
It's just
I'm
stupid.
really glad
She had
that's
people
not
coming
on
with her.
Alright, okay.
But
Did he die?
no, it's Steve Wallace. Remember,
Oh, okay.
she turns into like a cute puppy at the end of it.
What was she thinking? Anyway.
Then we went for Night of the
go wrong
Demons
here.
because similar to demons, when they all start transforming into the demons themselves, it's gross and it's disgusting. Although the scene, whenever I think of Night of the Demons, I just envision what's the actress called? The lover as well, Linnea Quigley, when you put lipstick in her boob, so it actually goes inside her nipple, goes inside her.
Like, whoop.
It does.
It's a new place
She
to
draws
store
around
it.
about her boob and then poof,
Whoop.
it's a handbag. But yeah, again, similar to demons, when they all start turning into demons, it's pretty nasty. Loads of pus, loads of goo. Evil Dead, because, well, it's kind of demons again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get to see them all transforming and Ash chopping them to pieces and body parts flopping about everywhere.
He gets
Loads of
attacked
milk.
by his own hand. I mean, that's quite traumatic.
I think it's brilliant, but that's number 2. You're mixing them up.
Oh, is it? Oh, right enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, don't worry, it comes later. Dog Soldiers, because again the transformations are pretty nasty in it, but also like we toyed with putting Dog Soldiers in one other section here, which we'll come to in a few minutes. But there's like one particular scene in it where the guy's in the bed, and he's like intestines have been ripped out and glued back in, and the wolves all start appearing round about him, and that's creepy as hell because they're so long in that movie. The wolves are big long things, but yeah, the transformations in this is pretty cool as well. And The Exorcist. Like we couldn't not have The Exorcist on the list, and what Reagan goes through.
Do you remember when I was at school and I drew a picture of myself for art class?
And you look like Reagan the Exorcist.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious. Like you do realise you've drew yourself looking like the Exorcist. I was like,
Don't worry, there wasn't any crucifixes in her hand.
I just always find it funny.
But yeah, poor Reagan in that movie, she goes through one hell of a transformation. How you would come back from that, like at the end when you see her and she's like, okay, her fate, I mean, she's never having kids. The things that she does to herself is just, it's bad, like it's really horrible. And then Shivers, because Shivers was kind of ruined for me and Claire. We went to
It
all
wasn't
night.
ruined for me. It was just
We love Shivers, right? Sorry, I'm going numb.
it didn't ruin it for me, but there was
Yeah,
one
but what pops into your
individual
head?
who's okay.
So
even
we
my
went
head
to
now when
a
I
whole
think
night
of
of
it.
horror movie madness, and Shivers was the surprise movie.
Which I was very happy about.
Yeah, because we love David Cronenberg, we love this movie. But there was a group of, let's just say, arseholes sitting behind us who, I don't know why they bothered going, because all they did was shout stupid stuff and act like fannies, is the only way to put it.
But what I don't get is why go a thing like that plays horror films all night to sit and moan about the fact that they're playing horror films all night.
I don't know. There was no method to them. But basically, he shouted at the scene where the great Barbara Steele's in the bathtub and the little Shivers thing comes up the plug and basically goes up her and possesses her. He shouted, "Look at the jobby going into the slut." And forever...
No, it was slag. It wasn't
Oh,
slut.
slag, sorry.
Yeah.
Look at the jobby going into the slag. So now, whenever I think of Shivers, that's the phrase that pops into my head.
I think you should contact the people who do the slogans in the front of the DVDs.
And just put jobby going into slag.
Yeah, I think that would
But
sell the
anyway,
movie.
don't judge the movie on the jobby and the slag, because that is not what this movie is about. It's about a parasite that infests people and makes them extremely horny, and they kind of go crazy and start attacking each other. So it is a body morph in that sense, that the bodies are taken over by a parasite. It's a great movie. I just wish that stupid idiot wasn't sitting behind us an all-night horror movie marathon. So the next ones we did was movies in our top 100 that could happen. So I'll just start one because my feet are going numb. People Under the Stairs. I love this movie, and I know that some of it's a bit far-fetched, but how many stories do you read about kids that have been kidnapped and kept by families?
But there are stories about people who even not just one or two, but like a family of people that, I don't know if this is an urban myth, but there are stories of people who actually live like in crawl spaces and in basements and stuff like that, and the people who live in the house have no idea that they're there. That freaks me out. I hate the thought that there could be.
And obviously it is true that people kidnap kids, and actually they're some of their own kids, and have them kept in these sorts of conditions. So people under the stairs could happen. I just realised to put my hand in front of the camera, sorry. Psycho. Well, it's based on a true story, so it can happen. And it's a classic. Everybody knows the movie Psycho. It's not necessarily the most scariest film, but it's definitely a classic, and it definitely could happen. Switchblade romance. Why did we put this in could happen?
Oh no, you said because you can get psycho people and go mental and kill. I don't know, you had a theory behind it. But
I said you could get psycho people that go psycho and get obsessed and kill people.
That's it. That's the only reason.
It's true. Like, I know a lot of this movie is her fantasy. Like, she thinks this person's did a home invasion and broke in and kidnapped the love of her life, but technically it's actually her going nuts. Yeah, people do go nuts. That happens. It's a good movie, okay? It needed to be on the list. Maniac. So we actually chose Maniac the remake because personally I prefer it. I'm committing slander here, but
I think it's better.
I personally think it's better because it's paced better, the music fits it better.
A more relatable main character.
I think that as much as I like the guy that's in the original Maniac, I can't remember his name.
Joe something.
Yeah, and I absolutely love Carly Monroe. I think you all know that. I think Elijah Wood was perfectly cast for the character.
And he comes across as such a sweet character as well. So a guy you would meet and you would trust. That's what I think he kind of looks like.
And that's one of the reasons we've got him on this list, because you would meet him and you would trust him. You wouldn't think he was a nutter that was going to scalp people and put their heads on mannequins.
When you first sort of see his character, I don't think Elijah Wood's an ugly guy, so looking at him in the film you think, well, he doesn't look like the sort of guy that should have this problem. Like, he looks like he should be a popular guy who shouldn't have any trouble, meeting a lassie or whatever. So I think that's what made it a little bit different, is that he didn't look like he should be a bit of an outsider, but he was.
He was. And you would trust him. And that's one of the reasons we put him on here. It's not Elijah Wood, the movie. Silence of the Lambs. Well, Silence of the Lambs gives us 2 serial killers for the price of 1. So we've obviously got Buffalo Bill, who likes to tuck his dinky in between his legs and dance. And we've got Hannibal Lecter, who likes to eat people. So, again, there's nutters like that in real life, dancing about the street with their dinkies tucked in. But no, there isn't.
It's just a normal weekend.
It's just natural, yeah. But yeah, we've got 2 killers for price 1. Very, very good movie, the way that it's done. And as I said, you could technically get killers like that. Misery. Now, we actually almost put Misery into the section. There's a section where we've got like a special moment that made us go blah, blah. We always put Misery in there for the ankle scenes. But there are people out there that are stalkers, that are that obsessed with folks that they will kidnap them and they will keep them and not realise that what they're doing is actually stalking and not really right, but she thinks she's doing good. And Annie Wilkes, isn't it? She's called. Terrifying character. My God, and she looks like just a wee ordinary woman. And I said old woman, she's not even old enough. A wee ordinary woman that would come into the supermarket or come to the bank or go anywhere, and she's sitting at home with her mallet waiting to smash her feet in. Wolf Creek scared the crap out of me. I remember when we got to meet John Garrett, I was still scared of him even though I knew it was just an actor. It's the head on a stick scene. But and again, this is what scares me so much about Wolf Creek. You would accept him, accept a lift from him is what I'm trying to say.
I'm glad you didn't go up to the actual what do you call him?
John Garrett.
And say, I accept you.
Imagine it have been like, excuse me?
You would accept a lift from him though. Like you would if your car broke down.
Especially if you were travelling, you didn't know the area very well, then you